During World War II, a British engineering scientist had a big idea. The big idea was to bomb the Memantul Ide dams in West Germany, causing a loss of water supply to German industry. The scientist was Sir Barnes Wallis, and his big idea was to drop bouncing bombs from low-flying aircraft and skip them into the dam walls. Wallis's career in engineering spanned 58 years, most of them spent designing aircraft. Most of his pre-war career was at Vickers, where he had many big ideas. Among them, the first use of geodetic design in engineering, in the gas bag wiring of the R100, which at that time was the largest airship ever designed. He also pioneered the use of light alloy and production engineering in the structured design of the R100. During wartime service, Barnes Wallis had a big idea for an attack on a battleship with a spherical bomb or surface torpedo. By bouncing a weapon on the surface of the water, striking the ship, and then dropping to explode at a depth where the hull is less protected. The initial spherical design, with dimples, codenamed Highball, was developed to be dropped from a modified de Havilland Mosquito that could carry 2 of the bombs. But it was the proposed Operation Chastise, or the Dam Busters raid, that draw all the attention. His initial idea was for a 10-ton bomb to be dropped from 40,000 feet. This was part of the earthquake bomb concept. However, at the time there were no aircraft capable of flying at this height with such a heavy load. A much smaller charge would suffice if it could be exploded directly against the dam wall below the surface of the water. When defence chiefs just would not believe that he could make bombs bounce on water until they hit the dam wall, Wallis was to prove that his big idea could make it happen. Checking his calculations with one of the first advanced computing devices to be used operationally, the mechanical differential analyzer, an early analogue computer designed to solve differential equations by integration. The result was quite simple. As the drum-shaped bombs left the plane, they were given rapid backward spin. The bombs, when dropped at low altitude at the right speed, were spun backwards at up to 500 RPM and would skip over the surface of the water in a series of bounces before reaching the dam wall and then, using residual spin, drop down the dam wall to the base. An accurate drop could bypass the dam protection and let the bomb be detonated against the dam with a hydrostatic fuse. The first raid was started on the night of the 16th of May 1943. 19 Lancasters took off from Scampton on that raid, which caused havoc to German industries along the Ruhr Valley. With the war over, Wallis continued with big ideas aplenty. In the 1950s, Wallis developed an experimental rocket-propelled torpedo, codenamed Heyday. It was powered by compressed air and hydrogen peroxide. Although the idea was sold to the US, the original designs of the swing-wing bomber were largely his. The wings of the TFX bomber were designed to move forward for slow-speed flying and backwards for supersonic flight. Some experts had expressed doubts as to whether this principle would work in practice, but test flights proved that Barnes Wallis's big idea actually worked. Wallis had also demonstrated various concepts of the swing wing by flying scale models without tailplanes. The proof of the Wallis big idea finally came to fruition with the introduction of the F-111 in the 1960s, which had swing wings based on Wallis's big idea. The F-111 was the first production variable geometry or swing wing aircraft, seeing service with the US Air Force from '67 through to 1998. The Royal Australian Air Force is the only air force to operate the F-111 currently, and will be until 2010, when the big idea of Barnes Wallis will be replaced by the F-18 Super Hornets. At the end of his career, when he was well into his 80s, Sir Barnes Wallis was still coming up with big ideas. He designed a replacement for the Concorde, which he proposed would fly at supersonic speed across the globe from London to Sydney, with no stops and at sufficient altitude to reduce sonic boom. Barnes Wallis, engineer, designer and scientist, will be remembered as a man with big ideas.